Good evening, good evening, everyone, and welcome back. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, and today is February 12th, 2024, a couple of days before Valentine's. So we're changing up a little bit. I wanted to do this because normally, like on some of the other days that I do this, um, this falls on a time when people want to get together and do what they do. So your success concierge, for a reason, I have on the red and black. So that symbolizes, some of the things that people are going to do coming up, as well as our case study for the evening. So again, welcome everyone. Hopefully, let me check the audio, make sure everyone can hear me. Yep, and it is all good. So again, welcome everyone. What is going on? What's going on today? Our fragrance of the day is Tom Ford Black Orchid. This is the original. Now, Tom Ford has done a remake of this. They have a new version. I think it comes in a gold bottle, but this is the original Both of them smell very, very good. The new one is a little bit lighter, but I like this one because it is deep, it is sexy. Now, the beautiful thing about this particular fragrance is it is completely unisex. So men can rock this, women can rock this as well too. And also too, this is a good couples fragrance. So that means you can wear this with your partner as well too. You can rock it, they can rock it, and y'all can just be killing it, the two of you two together. So that is Tom Ford Black Orchid. You definitely want to check that out. Get your nose on that if you haven't done so already. Again, it could be the new version or it could be the older version. Both of them are great. Definitely check those out for this time of year. So yeah, just making it do what it do. Just I'm really enjoying this experience as we come into this time of year, February. I always say check in on where you are with your goals. This is kind of like a time when people drop off a little bit. They set those goals for January, and then Valentine's is kind of like a trigger time or spring break, right? So they get to looking good, feeling good, or on the process of looking good and feeling good. But then you have a little bit too much celebration and you get off track. So you definitely want to make sure you're tracking on your goals as far as that. So what do I do? Like I definitely measure, track to see if I'm on point, to make sure everything is going well, with adjustments I need to make. And I encourage you to do the same. So we're talking about your image and your brand. So welcome to Office Hours. So each individual, they have a brand, and how do you manage your brand? How do you maximize your brand? And so essentially, your brand is what type of feelings, thoughts, and emotions are associated with when people hear your name or the name of your business, when they see your logo, when they see your face, when they see that you're associated with something. That in fact is your personal brand. And a lot of times people don't necessarily give it the type of attention that it needs. And that's where I come in, because I want to make sure that you have confidence, or I say confidence on demand, so you can confident and efficiently achieve your desired outcomes by maximizing the ABCDs of image, right? So again, the ABCDs of image is appearance, behavior, communication, and digital footprint. And we're definitely going to get into that as we talk about this particular person we're going to talk about today. Now, the reason why, well, again, sometimes I pre-do these in the past, or pre-do these ahead of time of what I want to talk about, because I know I did Michael B last time. So we're doing Michael J, or Michael Jeffrey, or Michael Air Jordan this week, because different things inspire me, and also the timing of the year. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see here. Well, even before we get into that, so a couple things that's been happening recently. You have the NBA. They're coming up on the All Star. We just had Super Bowl, as well as Michael Jordan's birthday is coming up in a few days now, and then also too, the recent developments with Kobe Bryant. If you haven't been paying attention, the Lakers unveiled what his statue is going to be. They had a ceremony last week, and so that just, sometimes I have the perfect storm where everything lines up, and we get to talk about. I get to discuss it. So kudos to that right there. But we're going to go ahead and talk about personal brand. Why I particularly chose this individual. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second here. Yep, share. Let's bring my windows up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into this. Your personal brand impact. Today is February 12th, 2024. I'm Eric Hall, your success concierge, and we're going to get started. We're going to do a case study on Michael Jordan. I love having fun, really making these things, and learning as well as sharing. So couple of caveats before we get started this. I'm not going to touch on any of the personal or conspiratorial things that's going on out there. I won't do that. I know there's a recent development with his son. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about anything legal. There's other channels and other people who do that very well. That's not what I do over here. Now, if you ask a question, I will answer it, but just specifically for this part of the presentation, I'm not going to talk about those things. But again, we're going to talk about your personal brand impact, and this is a case study on Michael Jordan. Let's get started. All right, so I love doing this right here because again I get to go back and find old photos. So to you celebrities out there, if you got children's photos and they're out there in public, I'm definitely going to use them. So that's just the caveat right there. So some things people didn't know: this is Michael Jordan, his parents, James and Dolores. He was equipment supervisor. She was a banker. He was actually born in Brooklyn, New York. Some people didn't know that. He moved to North Carolina at the age of 5, and he has 5 siblings. He's the second youngest. He has 2 older brothers, 1 older sister, as well as a younger brother. All right. So some of his early inspirations is his older brother Larry. That's who you see him with down here. Larry used to beat him very badly in basketball, and so Larry actually wore number 45, what you see up here, and that's actually what Michael Jordan wore briefly when he came back in 1995, midway through the season, and that's also the reason why he chose 45 because he said that's closest to half of what his brother 45 was. All right. And then over here in the lower left hand corner, you see David Thompson. David Thompson was a basketball player from North NC State. So that's Jordan's actual influence basketball wise because they're from the same state. But he was an influencer of or inspired Michael Jordan early on in his career. See a couple other names on the screen. Cliff Pop Herring. So Cliff Pop Herring is the one, the coach who really set a fire ablaze Michael Jordan in high school as he cut him from his high school team. As a sophomore, he wanted to play varsity. There was one more spot on the varsity team, and they were going to give it to a sophomore. And it was between, well, one of his good friends was Leroy Smith. Leroy just happened to be 6'7", and he was chosen as Michael Jordan at the time was 5'11", and so they told Jordan he was too small to play, and we know how he does when he gets those type of challenges. So they told him he was too small to play, and on the varsity at that time and make an impact. And so they gave the role to Leroy Smith, who went on to. He has an interesting story as well too. I won't get into that, but you can do that. He went on to have a decent college and overseas pro career, as well as he's a successful business person working in media. I think he works for NBC Universal. So that's an interesting caveat as well, right there. All right. So even despite him not making the varsity team, he did have some success on JV, the junior varsity team. He had several 40-point games. And then also, too, as a senior, he averaged 27, 12, and 6. And he was a McDonald's All American. And he scored 30 points in that game, which was a record for quite some time. I want to say Jonathan Bender ended up breaking that in the 90s or early 2000s, but it's been broken since that time. But he did establish that as a record for the All American game. All right, and then some interesting things that I discovered as well too, because a lot of times people associate Michael Jordan with being hands off, being not sensitive to race and those type of things. But he had an interesting story. So he grew up in the 1970s in North Carolina, which is a southern state, and at that time the KKK was really really strong or doing some things. So funny thing is he went and took a dip in a neighbor's pool with another friend, and they threw him out. And he asked his friend, he's like, "Do you know why he threw him out?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know why." He said, "But I got cooled off enough anyway." Because back in the day, people used to jump in pools or lakes or streams to cool off. He said, "I got enough to get cooled off anyway that I'm good." And then also too, when he was in high school, he had a girl call him the N word. He ended up throwing a soda at the girl, and he got suspended. And he called himself, Michael Jordan admitted this to himself, admitted this publicly at the time. He was himself a racist. He hated all white people just based on his previous experience. And then he had a conversation with his mom, and she intervened and told him not to be fueled by hate. So that's one of the turning points of him at that age. So a lot of people, they didn't particularly know that about him. So after high school, and I'm not going to rehash a lot of the success because it's well known, well documented, and people can share that. But he had success as an amateur. Like when he went to University of North Carolina, as you see him right here in the championship game against Georgetown, And you see in the lower the lower left hand corner, that is in fact Patrick Ewing. Jordan and Ewing had many battles after that time in the NBA going with the Knicks, but he beat, and I guess he took a lot of pleasure in beating Ewing. But he hit the game-winning shot in the title to win the NCAA title as a freshman, put them up, and he felt like that is the shot that kind of was the turning point of his career and really put him on the map in his upward trajectory. Other college success, he was a All-American as a sophomore and a junior, as all in '83 and '84, because and also he was the 1984 College Player of the Year. So he only played 3 years in college before entering into the NBA draft. And in preparation to go to the 1984 Olympics, which you see up top where he won the gold medal, they defeated a team of NBA All-Stars. So that included Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, um, and some other NBA All Stars, and he proved that he was ready for the next level and can perform at a high level at the next level, beating those shining in those types of moments. And then from '84 to '90, a couple things that he did. He was the third overall pick. He won Rookie of the Year. He won scoring titles. He hit the playoff scoring record, which still stands today when he hit 63 against the Boston Celtics. And then during that time, he won MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, scoring title, got 200 steals, 100 blocks, something that's only been done, I believe, 3, maybe 4 times, twice by him, once by Olajuwon, and then also once by Scottie Pippen. So he was, doing some things at a high level in between those years. But the challenge was, he wasn't winning. He broke his foot in his second season and missed, I want to say, 64 games that year. He had struggles in the playoffs. I mean, he would perform well. He had played at a high level, but then his teams was not winning. So he was having individual success, but his teams weren't. And then, he had a couple coaching changes in that time. Uh, Doug Collins was a coach. I can't remember who was. I think he had 2 coaches before that, and then before that was before Phil Jackson came, and then there was gang violence because as we talk about his brand, um, people were killing for his shoes, and that was something that was tied to him. And then also too, because his shoes were made overseas, came into question some of the labor practices as well, to make sure they were on the up and up. But these are some different types of things that really were challenges for him, just getting started. And then he's someone who embraced coaching. So and this is how you learn and you grow when you have those challenges. So you see him here with Dean Smith at the top. That was his college coach, and then also Phil Jackson here in his lower left hand corner. But there's a couple too that you may recognize, you may know the connection or whatnot. So Tim Grover was his personal trainer. And as he was having these setbacks, he had to get stronger. He had to learn different things to put his body in a better position. And then also Coach K. Now, Coach K's story came out in '92, was after '92. Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, a longtime coach of the Duke Blue Devils. He was a assistant coach on the 1992 Olympic USA basketball men's team. And at that time, Michael Jordan had won 2 titles. He had won quite a few MVPs. He was, you know, the best basketball player in the world, considered by many, and some even the best basketball player ever. But at that time, Coach K wanted to work with Michael Jordan, and he thought, well, Michael Jordan is not going to be able, he won't listen to me. His ego is going to get in the way. He's not going to accept the coaching. But to coach, and he also was a Dookie, which is a rival to North Carolina. But to Coach K's surprise, Michael Jordan embraced him, instructing him, embraced him, teaching, embraced him, learning. And that's why he was able to work with him, and he can grow and continue to be successful in that. And so one thing that Michael Jordan has always done is learn from his mistakes, but also to learn from other individuals who wanted to teach him. All right. And so this is what we talked about. He said in Bracing Failure to Learn. So some of the things he would focus on was, from a statistical standpoint, how many missed free throws he had, how many turnovers he had, how many missed assignments did he have. That was his area of focus from a statistical standpoint, of course, and wins and losses, because those were analytics, keyword analytics for yourself or for your business, analytics that allowed him to track and measure his progress. And then there was the physical stress in the NBA in the late 80s. Like the late 80s, that is actually the biggest and tallest era. That means he had the tallest average height of players, big men, such and so forth. And it was a big man's league. And so many felt that you could not have a lead guard as a anchor for a championship caliber team, or a lead guard leading scorer as on a championship caliber team. So he did those things to overcome that. But this is one of my favorite motivational things that he say. He had a commercial on this, but it said, maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, and that pain gave me motivation. And so that's someone who embraced failure, embraced opportunities to learn and grow, which is something that we can do in other areas of our life. And then he had challenges in the 90s, right? So, they said, he had gambling issues. That's what you see right here, because that was from his competitive nature. You see him. This is, he was struck with his father's murder, and he took that really, really hard. He tried to play baseball, and he did okay, but it's new muscle, because he wasn't as he hadn't done it in quite some time. So it took him a moment so he could get his skills up. And he was showing steady improvement in the baseball era. But he left, as you see in the other picture, to come back to play basketball, because there was a strike going on. And so he had the physical tools to come back and play basketball. He didn't have the level of conditioning that he wanted to have, and then he did not have the chemistry and timing with his teammates. So this is a famous photo right here, because people like to say, well, we don't talk about Jordan failures, but this is a picture right here, late in the playoff game. Nick Anderson poked the ball away, and the Bulls ended up losing that series. All right. So those are just some of the challenges, but what helped him overcome the challenges is the mindset. I mean, he's someone who played every game like his last. His motto was, sometimes you may have a fan in the stand who this may be their only opportunity to see me play. They may have spent their last dime, their last dollar, traveled from a great distance, and he wanted to make sure that he gave his all every time he stepped on the court. Now, he may not have played the best every time, he may not have won every time, but he is consistently known to give maximum effort. All right. And then preparation, he was a meticulous preparer. And that's why he wasn't nervous in the clutch. He would say, well, if you're confident in your skills, you don't have to be nervous in those situations, because you know what you can do, and you've prepared yourself and prepared your mind. And so one of the things that he was talking about in the game against Utah, and he hit the game winning shot, or when he's hit other game winning shots, he says, I'm completely comfortable because I practiced my skills, and I just let the moment be the moment. He hates losing. He's a fierce competitor. There's so many stories out there about him competing at everything from cards to what mascot is gonna win the race on the scoreboard, pitching quarters, anything. He's a fierce competitor. He hates losing, and that's why he worked so hard, because he didn't like that feeling. And then his mindset, he wanted to win, but the key to that is he wanted his teammates to be a part of it as well too. So he said, I want to win. I want them to be a part of it as well. And then he also respects a lot of the people who came before him, and saying he never got to play against the Jerry West, the Wilt Chamberlains, the Oscar Robertson. He never got a chance to play with them. So he holds them as respect. And he doesn't verbally say that he's the greatest player of all time. He said, I didn't get to compete against those guys. He would love to, he just didn't. All right. So this is just some of his NBA success. And as you can see right here, I chose this picture on purpose, because Brian Russell is already off balance, and he's already going in the direction before that. So for those of you who say it's a push off, go watch it again from some different angles. All right. But a couple of things about his NBA career. Again, all this is public knowledge, and I don't want to rehash because this is only a portion of things. I know there's more, but I will say, he has the highest regular season and playoff PPG, won scoring title, MVP, all defense in defensive team, Finals MVP in the same season 4 times. Excuse the typo. He has 6 Finals MVP, which is a record, 5 league MVPs, 10 scoring titles, which is a record, 1 defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, 3 steals title, 2 dunk contest winner. So this is just some of his NBA success, which is help fuel his iconic brand, because when it comes to that, he's associated with winning, success, those types of things. All right. And so he was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. He was introduced by his hero slash mentor, not hero, excuse me, by the person he looked up to growing up, David Thompson. Some of his previous teammates were there: Scottie Pippen, Rodman, Oakley, Harper, Kerr, and Kukoc, as well as Dean Smith and Doug Collins. And there's other teammates as well too that were there with him. All right. So after that, he has the NBA trophy named after him. The MVP trophy named after him. He's the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, formerly Bobcats, first black majority owner. And then he has his jersey retired by the Bulls and the Heat. Even though he never played for the Heat, one of the things Pat Riley said was he's someone who's so iconic that no Heat player should wear his jersey because of his competitive nature, his spirit, those types of things. And Jordan and Riley had battles. Riley as a coach against Jordan when he coached for the Knicks, as well as with a coach slash executive when he was with the Miami Heat. And it was an interesting thing. Jordan learned a different perspective that, okay, he wants to compete as hard from a coaching standpoint as hard as I want to compete from a basketball standpoint. Not gonna really. And then after that, of course, he had his Wizards years where he came back to boost the value of his team. He was part owner of the Wizards, and he wanted to come back. I guess he had a little bit of an itch, and he wanted to come back and do that and play again. But also too wanted to increase the value of the team he was previously had a stake in. He thought he was going to get resume that stake. He didn't. So many years after that, he ended up being part owner of the Charlotte Bobcats, and then he became majority owner, and they eventually became the Hornets, and that's where they are today. He just recently sold a portion of the team. And this is one of my favorite memes, because if you ever watch The Last Dance, he talks about it became personal for me. And so one thing that Jerry Krause, who was the GM of the Chicago Bulls, said, Jordan remembers everything people said about him, especially the bad things. And so he takes it personal, and he uses that to fuel himself. And so I can only imagine how he would have been in the social media era, where he could find so much fuel to drive him. He would thrive in that. And then the funny story with Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy called him a con man, and that he was suckering people in. And so Michael Jordan had an explosion against the Knicks when Jeff Gundy was coaching. And then he had some choice words for Jeff Van Gundy. He took on challenges. They said he wasn't a good 3-point shooter, so he took on a challenge to participate in 3-point contests and won All-Star Weekend, because he had won the dunk contest and some other things. He didn't do well. I think he only scored 8, but again, he's someone who wants to take on challenges. And then there's always a saying of "Don't make Jordan mad." So I mean, it's so many stories about him taking it personally. A funny one, Kevin Garnett talks about it with him and J.R. Ryder, when he's talking about, J.R. Ryder's playing well, and KG said, "Oh, keep killing him," and Mike stands there and looks at him and said, "Oh, you talking? You talking?" And J.R. Ryder tried to calm him down. So long story short, the Bulls were down a few points, and then they were up quite a bit. And he said, "Oh, KG, y'all tired." So the one thing people always say is don't make Jordan mad. And another funny story is I think they were playing Vancouver, and Byron Scott was playing. He was injured, and he said, "Oh, B. Scott, you not playing today?" He said, "Nah, I got an injured ankle." I said, "Who y'all guarding me?" He's like, "Anthony Peeler." He's like, 50. And he said, and Byron Scott told Anthony Peeler, "Hey, Mike gonna get about 50. Don't make him mad, so he'll get more. So that's how things go when you have someone competitive who has, as Magic Johnson say, not only the will to win, but the skill to win and get it done. All right. And then he just, had the brand impact. It's funny. You had the Be Like Mike commercials. You had men in the '90s embracing their bald head. They wanted to do that, and that lasted all the way. I want to say to the mid '90s. Allen Iverson came with the braids and the cornrows in the mid to late '90s, and that's when people wanted to start doing that. Before it was about the bald head, and then the sneaker culture that didn't exist before the brand Jordan. And then, of course, the baggy shorts that you saw in the NBA. And then he paved the way because he was the first individual to really have a signature sneaker. And you see that now across all types of brands, football, baseball, basketball, etc., where people doing it. So that's the brand impact of himself, all right? And then he's the gold standard. Whenever someone wins or someone's great, they use Michael Jordan to describe him. So, for example, if someone's a good chess player, well, how good is that chess player? Oh, he's the Michael, or she's the Michael Jordan of chess. How good is that golfer? Oh, Tiger Woods is the Michael Jordan of golf. How good is it? That person is the Michael Jordan of business. So he has become the gold standard of winning. He used to wear suits and dress sharp, and he wanted to focus on his representation of his image. He said, I want to make sure I don't, involve myself in situations that would cause people to lose their high level of thought, especially for children. And this is one of my favorite shirts right here. You can't win till I quit. Well, after the Bulls won their sixth title, he said they can say what they want to say, but they can't win till we quit. So that's just some of the fun things about that. Some fun facts. His favorite artist was Anita Baker, and so because he was a celebrity, he was famous. He could go and meet her and get albums and such and so forth from her before, when they came out. And then he can't swim. I did say to mention the water hole, but Michael Jordan cannot swim. He had a friend who drowned at a young age, so he never really took to that. So when they talk about things that Jordan is scared of or fear, uh, he can't swim. And of course, as you see right here, he's a cigar aficionado. That's relatively known. And so, again, I just want to throw a couple fun things in there because he's one of the most famous people on the planet. So you can learn and see all the other information as well too. So legacy of influence. This is him globally in Paris right here. Brand deals. A lot of individuals are now able to get marketing and brand deals that they couldn't get before. He was the first person, as I said, to have a signature shoe. Then he did brands for beverages, uh, uh, sodas, restaurants, fast food. Because I'm not gonna utilize their name because I'm not affiliated with them. All types of things as well too. He took that to a whole nother level. He's hired the most black executives than any Fortune 500 company. He had Team Jordan, which used to have some of the top athletes, especially in the '90s. You had Roy Jones Jr. when he was top of his game in boxing. You had Randy Moss in football when he was top of his game as a wide receiver. Baseball had Derek Jeter. I think he also had Terrell Owens, and then of course other players like Ray Allen, um, Vin Baker, those type of guys in that industry. And then I know later on he did have Carmelo Anthony, and currently he has Zion Williamson, and I want to say he has Luca as well too. So Team Jordan is definitely representing a lot of brands, a lot of athletes. He also has a racing team as well. That's some of his influence. Kobe Bryant, they had a big brother, little brother type of relationship. And LeBron James, he is the reason LeBron James wore 23 for many of those years. So that is my case study on Michael Jordan. And like for those of you catching the replay, this is where you like, comment, subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date with what we're doing over here and get feedback as well too. So I am iamerichall, your success concierge, and thank you for tuning in to that portion of the case study. So let's see what we got going on over here. We're back. Let me check the chat room because like when I'm in the mix of all those things, I can't see what's going on. But yeah, so that's what I like about building your brand and understanding, using example, and getting some learning from that. So this is my favorite part of the call, the time where you can call in if you choose to. Um, if you want to have questions, comments, or concerns, because we know, Michael Jordan can be controversial for a number of reasons. We have individuals who want to say this or that about him. They may want to say this or that about his family style, or they may want to even bring up other players. But that's fine. We take all questions here. Well, I'll take them, the questions that you have, and we can go into that portion of the call. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Shout out to February. Shout out to this time of year, because we're celebrating. We're getting things done. This is actually the sweet spot of the year. You had culmination of the NFL season last night, and then you also have the NBA All-Star game in the mid-season for that. So this is really, really a good time of year for those sports enthusiasts as well too. Let's see here. Let's see if we have any questions right here. All right. All right. So did I watch the Super Bowl yesterday? No, I did not. I watched the halftime show, but I did not watch the Super Bowl. I want so I had a prediction. I predicted a 3-point win by the Chiefs. I actually predicted the score of 27-24. And so I wanted to kind of take a step back so I wouldn't be emotional like all throughout. Like, am I going to be right? Am I going to be this? Am I going to be that? So it was an interesting game. I know it came down to overtime. I was off slightly. The Chiefs won 25-22, but they did, in fact, win by 3. So I was correct on that. And then the other thing, too, like the Super Bowl has changed quite a bit for me. They used to have a lot of the iconic commercials. They don't have that as much anymore. For I guess for a number of reasons. I mean, that used to be the talk of the town on the Monday after the Super Bowl is, oh, did you see that commercial for this company? Did you see that commercial for that company? And it's changed a lot as well too. And then also, I actually went to a Super Bowl a few years ago. This is the one in 2019. So I did go to a Super Bowl, and maybe because it was a game, maybe because I wasn't emotionally tied to it, it was okay. It wasn't as entertaining for me, but I was with my father. It was something that he always wanted to do. So that experience made it great. But it was a low scoring game, and that could have been part of it. And it wasn't all that exciting from a scoring and nail biting standpoint. So maybe that was what it was for me. But yeah, that is um, that is my Super Bowl experience. So no, I didn't watch yesterday, and I wasn't particularly rooting for any team. I just had a feeling. And I'll give another caveat. I didn't watch any of the NFL playoffs, any of that stuff. I haven't really watched games this year outside of if I'm in an airport traveling and a game is on, I'm going somewhere to get something to eat, or I'm at a restaurant, something like that, and the game is on, I'll do it like that. But I didn't watch any NFL games long term this season as well too. So that is my thoughts on that. Let's see if we got some other questions. But yeah, it was an entertaining game. It went overtime, so I'm told. I may catch a replay of the highlights of the game. I did peek on the score. I know they were down 10-0 or 3. I know San Francisco scored first, and Kansas City was struggling. So my prediction was a little bit in jeopardy, especially at halftime. But they came in and made me, as my mom would say, not a liar. All right, cool. So let's see if we got any other questions right here. All right, so let's see the next question. Is my personal brand important even if I do not have a business or I'm not a celebrity? Absolutely. So your personal brand is who you are, and that's what follows you. All right. And that can show up and manifest in a number of different areas. If you work, what is your personal brand as an employee? When they say, okay, this is John Smith or Jane Smith, she does X as a profession. Are they excited to see you coming? Are they confident that your skill set is on point? Are they comfortable that you're a good representation of their company or their brand or those type of things? That's part of your personal brand, and that's on the professional side. Then you also have a side where, okay, you may be involved with friendship. You may be dating and having romantic relationships. You may be someone who does community service. All those types of things are associated with you as a personal brand. Now, again, of course, there are levels to this. So if you're not trying to be a celebrity or you don't have a business, your areas of focus may be different on what you're looking to work on, improve, and how we take that approach to help you improve. But you are the star of your brand. You are the star of that. And so, what I want to do is make sure you get the most outcomes of your brand, of your star. That's what I want to focus on. So, yes, it is absolutely important for you to have, focus on your personal brand because you do other activities outside of having a business or being a celebrity. So, that is a great question. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so let's see, let's see. Okay, all right. How do you feel about what's going on with Michael Jordan's son? I'm not, see, y'all try to get me. I'm not gonna touch that. I'm not gonna touch that. I'm not gonna touch that. So you have some interesting developments of what is going on there, and you got a lot of people who talk about relationships, specifically those type of things. They talk about gossip, they talk about rumors, they talk about all these other type of things. And at this time, that's not what I choose to do over here. And so when it comes to people in this instance who, again, Michael Jordan's son's claim to fame is he's Michael Jordan's son. He's not someone who does things to put himself in the public eye. Now, he did have a relationship with another fairly public person, but other than that, he doesn't do a lot to put himself as a celebrity in this space. So he is not the focus of this particular case study, and that's one thing I didn't talk about. Really didn't talk about Michael Jordan family in general. One, because a lot of that information is all known. I did talk about how he was growing up and his other family dynamics. I didn't talk. I mean, he's been married, he's been divorced, he's got a second wife. I really didn't touch on those as well too, because in this instance right here, it wasn't pertinent to what I wanted to discuss as part of his personal brand. So if you want to know about what's going on with Michael Jordan and his son, or Michael Jordan's son, and that whole situation, we got somebody more qualified to talk about it than I. And so I will let them discuss those types of things. All right. So the other thing is like now, again, if you want to come live or you want to have other type of discussions, I did put that in the chat room. So you're welcome to come up here and discuss that or discuss anything types of things that you want to do. All right. Let's see here. All right. So does my hairstyle and outfit matter even in casual settings? Absolutely. So I have a couple things. I always revert back to what are the three rules. Okay. So the rule number one is where you're going to wear it to. And so you may say, I'm going to wear this hairstyle or this outfit to this particular casual setting. Now, here is the key question right here is question number two, which is what is the message that you want to send? Okay. So by having certain outfits, because they didn't be specific, they didn't say I want to wear rollers to Walmart at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting some items. You didn't say that. You didn't be specific in this particular outfit or the particular hairstyle that you want to wear. So a couple of things, right? When it comes to image and people seeing you and people talking to you, there's the saying, I didn't create this, other people have said this. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. So again, when you're outside your home and you're in those particular settings, is the message that you send something that you want them to carry on with them. Okay. And that's why I always focus on what is the message you want to send. You could be sending in a casual setting, hey, I just want to pick up these items. I don't want to talk. I don't want anyone to talk to me. And there are ways to do that. Or you could be sending the message that I don't care about my appearance. I don't care about this, that, all those other types of things. So here's a challenge, or here's something that I have noticed when it comes to working with individuals or just people in general. All right. People know exactly what they would wear to meet the mayor, a special occasion. You may have that special outfit, those special shoes, that special fragrance. If you don't get that special fragrance, but you have all that because you know exactly what you want or what you need for that type of occasion. Now, the challenge with a lot of individuals is what about the occasions in between that and maybe going to the gym, right? Or going to go doing something more casual. That's the gap that people look at and often don't do as well as they could do in. So you may be confident when you go see that, but I want you to have confidence on demand. So that's why I say it's important and it does matter. But again, without having the specifics of the individual talking or the question, I would need to know more about what's the message that you want to send. But the thing is, within the first 7 seconds of people meeting you, seeing your brand, they're making judgment. It's this person is tall, they're short, they're smiling at me, they look like they want to help me, they look like they want to hurt me, they look like I should avoid them. Like all these type of decisions people are making when they see you. And so people in general, now I know the people over here, you're more evolved, but people in general, they spend more time trying to justify a decision that they made versus I want to learn some new information that will change my perspective. All right. So that is why that is important. All right. Do you think someone will pass Jordan status? Not currently. Well, anything is possible, but I don't see someone currently who potentially could, and especially as it relates to basketball and other. Well, because we talking about specifically basketball, because unlike other team sports, football and baseball, um, one player does not have as much influence on the game as basketball. Because in basketball, player can play offense as well as defense. And you don't really have that in baseball. Outside of the, even the pitcher, they play certain positions. They can't cover those areas. And then even in football, you don't have players who play on both sides of the ball any longer. Now, from the basketball standpoint, the challenge is the mindset of people are a little bit different, right? So right now, the NBA is focused on individualism, on the business side, and that type of thing. So one of the reasons why I chose Michael Jordan for this case here, because we talk about Valentine's Day, was also love, right? So Michael Jordan truly, truly loved the game. And that's why he didn't miss that many games. I think he played all 82 9 times. He came back and played as a Wizard, even when he have to. And he had knee issues and still was trying to play. And then even before that, he had a love of the game clause in his contract. So this is someone who right now we're in the team up era. We're in the individual me era. And that's a focus, but that makes it difficult for the casual neophyte to really relate to that particular person. And so right now, players are about, making the most money, which, hey, that's what they choose to do. That's what they choose to do. So as a result of that, they take days off, they take games off, they, focus on doing things that's going to help them look as successful, maybe teaming up to win titles or maybe accumulating a lot of stats. That's the era that we live in, which is not as successful as taking on every single challenge and overcoming. Now, if you have someone who consistently takes on every single challenge, well, good, bad, and different, and shows growth, learning from that, that makes them more relatable because people have challenges and struggles. So that's why I don't see someone from a branding standpoint, and not to mention the accomplishments on the basketball court, doing that in this generation is possible, but I just don't see it happening. The other thing, it would have to, the overall dynamics of what is expected of players would have to change, and that's why you have that particular challenge, right? That's why the golden age is the golden age. You can have multiple golden ages or multiple cycles, but we're just not at that time. Well, we're in the era, a different type of era, and so we won't see that anytime soon. Is it possible? Yeah, but we're just not going to see that anytime soon. All right, so let's see what else we got here. So yeah, we checking in. 9 past or 9 minutes till. I definitely want to see if we have any more questions. Let's see what we got here. What do you think of Usher's halftime show? Amazing. I kind of wish he was the Super Bowl entertainment in 2019 when I went when it was in Atlanta. No shade to Maroon Five or even Big Boy, but this was truly a ATL experience. That's where I'm from originally. So Usher and I are around the same age, so we kind of grew up together per se. Ludacris also a couple years older than me. Remember when he was at the radio station, and then of course Lil Jon. So it just was ATL homecoming for me, and then also too the fact that he could skate as well. I mean, I skate okay, but I'm definitely not at the level that they are, where I would be comfortable and confident to do a whole performance like they did. So it was huge. It was very entertaining. He showed versatility. He brought on a number of talented individuals. Um, Ludacris, Lil Jon, Alicia Keys, even Jermaine Dupri came on there. Some people may talk about his outfit, but he was there, and he showed versatility in his outfits. I really like the way Usher dresses. He has more of a preppy slash player style personality. He's more refined. He's got a refined and rake type as well too, from an archetype standpoint. And so he's really done well for that. And then he's taking good care of himself physically. I know he's in his 40s, but he still looks young. He's still in good condition. He's still moving around. So it was a great performance. Hats off to him and the team and the individuals that they see. All right. All right. So let's see. Oh man, I just knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Why do you feel LeBron James gets so much hate? So a couple of things, right? I personally don't think it's hate when people state opinions. Some people say that because you don't agree with something, you're hating. But from an image consultant standpoint, this is the problem with LeBron James. LeBron James plays a team sport, but he operates in an individualistic manner, and he makes situations about him. Now, uh, if you look at statistically from a standpoint, he's done some things amazing, right? He's put up the most points in NBA history. I think he's top five in assists, maybe top five, top 10 in steals. Not quite in the top in rebounds, but anyway, he's done some amazing things statistical wise. All right, but when he first came in the league, he was very likable. All right. Then as he transitioned, he made it more about himself. And then you had stories where, oh, he doesn't have any help. So what does that mean? He doesn't squash those type of things. He is kind of saying, okay, everything is all about me. Like my teammates, if they're good, then we'll win, but I'm going to take all the credit. If we lose, they're going to take all the blame. So the fact that he says, the narrative and he allows it to go on is all about him and his health. All right. Second thing is, when they won, and it was a team effort because those guys played well. He said that play right there made me the greatest player of all time. So again, it's all about him. Then the third thing is like, he's had instances where he walks out in the middle of games. He comes, with wristbands or scarves on his hand, saying he broke his hand. That's why he didn't play well. So he comes up with a lot of things after the fact when he's not successful, and then he doesn't include others within his success. And so even with this notion of, he says, hey, I want to stick around to play in the NBA, right, with my son. Now, why is that important? Because one, his son has not come out and expressed that that's what he wants to do. But again, he wants to play at a high level, but his son is not came up. So he makes things about him. All right. And so when you make things about yourself in a team era, and then there's low accountability, that turns you in from someone from being likable to someone being not as likable. Does LeBron James have a lot of fans? Absolutely. But he's not as likable as he could be or as he was previously. And so again, I'm not part of his team, so I don't work with him. But that's the challenge why he's gets some of the pushback that he gets, um, because he doesn't make himself to be likable as he could be. Because again, he focused on a lot about himself, And what happens is people, they want to be on board with something greater than the individual, right? So when you make it all about you and not about someone else, then they're like, well, why do I want to be a part of that? That just sounds like something that this entitled is selfish. It's not something I want to be a part of. And so that's why he has the issues and challenges that he has. And then as a result, we have a lot of people who are in the media who are on his payroll or in other areas. And that's why they say things, and I just don't feel like a lot of it is genuine. I feel like some of his options, in my opinion, may not be as genuine as they could be. It's more so an opportunity to say, look at me. And in the team sport, that doesn't really last as long as it could, especially when you have other things that is exposed, right? So when you say, oh, I'm this right here, then people say, okay, he makes it all about himself. So let me find the things that you don't do so well, which every person has, right? So the difference between, even in the case study that we did, Michael Jordan talked about his failures. He's talked about missing shots, missing games, not winning, not doing things, not making excuses. A perfect example in 97, 98, when they lost game 6 to the Pacers. Reggie Miller, he gave him a little and got the shot off and won. And Michael Jordan came down and he missed the shot that would have won. It went in and out. A tough 3-pointer, they lost. And he didn't say anything about, the push or whatever Reggie Miller did. He said, we're going to win game 7 in Chicago. And he went out and did it. And he didn't say, I'm going to do this. He said, we, right? So that's a major difference that I see between the two of them. I'm glad that someone asked this question, but it's a sharp contrast of why, one person gets, uh, I guess, artificial versus one person gets universal. And the other person, like I said, Jordan, he's not on social media. He doesn't do interviews. He keeps largely to himself, and he lets other people do the talking and lets what he's done do the talking as well too. All right. So let's see. We got time for one more. Let's see. Let me find a good one here. We got a couple of them over here. All right. So this is a good one. And this is a good question just for what we have right here. All right. So, how do I avoid frustration associated with failure? Now, that's a good question, right? And hopefully, you've been watching the stream earlier, and we can look at and get into that type of feedback as well too. Let me put this in the chat as well in case someone wants to come up. But the question is, how do I avoid the frustration with failure? Simple answer, but difficult. You change your mindset and how you look at it. And the reason I say that is because we're human beings. We are not perfect. So there are going to be times when we do things that don't go well. We may knock the cup off the counter. We may not win this ball game. We may not achieve our goal of success, right? So that is inevitable. But the frustration that comes along with that is self-inflicted. And what I mean by that is when something like that inevitably happens, what do you extract from it? Do you see as something you failed at or didn't get done? Or do you see that as an opportunity for learning and growth and those type of things, right? So if you view things that didn't go well, again, you may have a frustration in the moment, but do you keep that up? Do you experience that long term, right? And so that shift in mindset, that's going to allow you to say, okay, this is a situation that didn't go well for me. I had my, whatever emotional response to it was, but what did I learn from that? How can I get better? How can I plan accordingly to move forward? And so when you look at it like that, you be like, oh, this is not an opportunity. This is not a failing moment. This is an opportunity for learning and growth. And what can I take from that? So yeah, that's a great question because a lot of people have that, and they when they're frustrated right there like that, it keeps them from trying new things because in their subconscious mind is, oh, frustration equals pain. I don't want to feel that pain, so I'm going to run away from it because people will do more to avoid pain than pursuing pleasure. So when you shift and say failure is temporary, it's an opportunity for me to learn, grow, and improve, then you'll do things you might not normally do. So you might not speak up, or you might not take a chance to start that new business, or you might not take that game winning shot. Because then instead of viewing it as a success fail, it's I learned something and I extracted something good from that. And so when you take it like that, that helps you eliminate the frustration that comes along with failure. All right. So we're kind of at the top of the hour. We'll see if we have any questions, comments, concerns. I don't see any, but hey, you know what? This is like around this time is like a special time for me, uh, based on my past. Right around this time, many years ago, I had one of my basketball teammates, 18 years old. He died as a young man, right around this time of year. Then also too had a cousin killed by a drunk driver. So some people know, some people don't know. My folks we went to school with, we were like, we know SLH 23, Sweet Lou Hudson. Much love to you, much love to your family, and much love to my cousin TC. We love you and we salute. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Love yourself, love your families. Go out, be productive, make it happen. I am Eric Hall, your success concierge. I want to provide you the vision, tools, and opportunity for your desired success. Confidence on demand. Salute to you. And we out.